Ja and Zion, former AAU teammates, taking first and second in last year's draft, will go head-to-head tonight. Zion is putting up 18 and 8 in his first 4 games. Ja has led rookies in scoring and assists basically all season. Sekou did something most defenders can't. He caught up with Ja Morant for this interview.
Young blood's got no sense of history.
3 things I'll say about my game.
Over the top with 2 hands.
I just try to bring some excitement.
Show and go, and a finger roll.
Play aggressive, always.
Irving, blocked by Morant.
And fearless, no matter who I'm going up against. I'm gonna give my all.
Ja Morant. This is the future.
When did you know you were ready to not only make that leap to the league, but to be an impact player this league?
I always felt like I was good enough. I know it's gonna be doubters. I feel like I've been doubted my whole life, overlooked, but I just go out and play with this chip on my shoulder for what I had to go through to get to this point.
The Memphis Grizzlies select Ja Morant.
I love those guys with chips on their shoulders, and he plays the game the right way. Kind of came out of nowhere.
Ja Morant has just been absolutely fantastic.
Morant was the Western Conference Rookie of the Month in October, November, and December.
What's been your experience, just that first brush in the NBA, playing night after night, getting used to this game?
This first half's been good, but I'm still not satisfied. I'm just continuing to just try to get better each and every day. I feel like I can be better in areas, turning the ball over, and just being more of a vocal leader on and off the court.
His play, being out on the floor, creating opportunities, yes, this building will become electric.
Ja Dropper.
He has wowed his teammates with his play, with his leadership.
And he is just must-see TV.
In those moments when you're out there, I mean, you got so many highlights already. Are you calculating that in the moment, or is that just instinct?
It's just natural. It just comes. It's like I have the ball and I probably do something, and then after the play, it'll be like, did you just do that? Just try to bring any excitement to the game when I can.
Kevin Love, I know, had a lot to say after the play you had on him. Take me through that play and reaction everybody had after that.
I think it was a deflection, and then it just came to me, and I seen like a wide open lane, just attacked the rack. He kind of stepped up.
Osman trying to knock it away. Sexton did knock it away. Whoa! Morant trying to hammer one over Love. Missed the dunk. Big collision.
I just went to try to dunk, cleared him. It just felt like I lost it a little bit, hit the back of the rim and missed. And my teammates were just looking at me like, yo, like you really just cleared him. Like, wow, I wanted it bad.
What did he just try to do, partner? That's what Morant brings, that it factor.
Look at his athleticism and what he's able to do on the basketball court. It's nothing short of amazing.
By the time he's been in the league 2 or 3 years, he would be an all-star.
You started off with a bang. How does this thing finish for Ja Morant in order for you to look back and say it was a successful season?
Right now, we're in the playoff race, so I feel like as a team, it's just trying to make a deep run in the playoffs.
They've got some young talent to feel very good about going forward.
We always knew like we was good enough. We just was trying to get better, keep growing with each other, and feel like our play now is showing the big leap we took from day one to now. And now we're in the playoff race, but we all not satisfied. We're still hungry.
Ja Morant, okay, both of you guys have talked to him, and we know how great Zion Williamson is, even though it's been a small sample size. So of those two, who's going to have a bigger impact on their team making the postseason?
Wow, that's a good question. And I appreciate 3D warming him up for me, because by the time I got there, he had already been through it. It was like, oh, another one?
Hey, get used to this kid every week.
I know.
Guy.
The thing I like about what Ja's doing is he's had an entire training camp in first half of the season to really figure out his spot, where he fits on this team. I think that's going to allow him to do some things down the stretch that Zion simply won't be able to do 3D because he hasn't had the time with the time with those guys on the floor to get comfortable and figure out where his sweet spots are. Ja is not really a rookie anymore. He's played enough minutes now where you can kind of brush that aside and put him in a different category, because he's the front runner right now, to me, by a long shot.
Long shot. No, I agree with you. Long shot. Zion's playing catch-up. What I like about Ja already, that he's playing like a young vet, willing to share. It's the point guards league right now. You see a lot of guys jacking up threes, shooting 20, 30 times a night. That's not Ja's makeup. Ja wants to share. So when I get there and you talk to the J crowd, you talk to the vets, you talk to Valanciunas, it was like, no, Ja's the first one here, the last one to leave. He wants to make sure everyone's eating. Ask Jaren Jackson Jr. how many touches he gets. Everyone's happy because he understands the ball will find him and he's able to do what he needs to do in the fourth quarter, and that's why I like what he's doing right now.
Certainly, I mean, seeing Ja Morant, also Brandon Clark putting up historic numbers for a rookie
stick right there.
because he has Ja Morant feeding him the ball. Okay, so Zion Williamson in his first 4 games, we know the points and the rebounds are there. He's played 30 minutes just once. Are you surprised that he's putting up these kinds of numbers while still getting into basketball shape? I mean, what is the limit for this guy? I mean, he's doing 18 and 8 on a minutes restriction.
There's a reason we were buzzing about him the way we were in training camp and leading up into the draft even. I was down there in training camp to do some stuff on Zion, and I'm telling you, just in practices, his own teammates are standing there watching him and like eyes bugging out when he does stuff. You're talking about one of the most unique physical specimens we've seen come into this league in a long time. He's just playing around right now. He's just scratching the surface. Can you imagine how much better he's going to be at the end of this regular season after he's had a good 20, 30 games under his belt? And then going into the summer. Summer league's going to be huge for him. If they make the playoffs, that's going to be another gigantic, important step for him to take. There is no ceiling for what he can do. And really, the excitement we have for both these guys going into the draft process, we've gotten exactly what we thought we'd get. Just a very small dose from Zion and a very heaping dose of what Ja can do.
Alvin Gentry said this is the first time that he can remember we could look at a player and say, I'm not sure what to do with him right now. So to your question, Chris, there's no plays being called for him right now. That you have to understand and tell the people at home watching, the highlights that you're watching, these aren't Zion plays. These are just basketball plays, playing off of instincts. You're playing with Lonzo Ball, pass first. You're playing with Jrue Holiday, pass. Brandon Ingram, all-star now, understanding Sharon's carrying the ball, finds him again. J.J. Redick, a shooter, but still passes the basketball. So when you're playing with a team that's unselfish, you just play the right way, the ball finds you. That's what's scary about Zion, that you're getting 20 and 25 and 30 minutes and no plays being called for you.
And it's crazy because he said the other day, like, look, the scouting report, all this information is too much. I'm just trying to play. When he starts to take all that information in and can process it, well, that's going to be scary.
But to your point, that's the NBA way. When you're playing 1 or 2 games a night in college and you chill out in your dorm room and you're hanging out with your friends, that's different. In the NBA, you're getting this thing, he's talking about a scouting report every night and you have to study it. So now when you see him on defense, he's looking around. He's a little lost right now. That's going to take some time, like CQ said earlier, with no training camp. He's playing a little catch-up right now.
Let's go back to that playoff scenario with these two teams because the Memphis Grizzlies, look, let's be honest, they've surprised all of us with how good they've been to start this season. We're past the halfway point, but the New Orleans Pelicans are creeping into that conversation. You look at the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram, congrats on being an all-star. Jrue Holiday, veteran leadership on that team. Whose roster do you like more is making that push for the postseason, Memphis or New Orleans?
Well, you know, it's funny. You glossed over a couple teams.
Right, that's
in the
not
way.
good. Yeah.
That
Portland's a veteran team. That Portland team says, like, hey, Chris, don't forget about us.
Portland is the team, to me, that could potentially make the biggest move out of all 4 of those teams. Yeah. Memphis now is in a very interesting position. They got to hold their spot.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not like they're chasing. They're the ones holding it. And if they hold it going into All-Star Weekend, through the trade deadline and in All-Star Weekend, that puts a ton of pressure on some of those young guys in Grizzlies uniforms to hold it down the stretch of the regular season. I think New Orleans has maybe more of the veteran pieces you need to make a late, you know, a real concerted run after All-Star Weekend. But Memphis has that ace in the hole that we don't talk about. What's going to happen with Andre Iguodala?
Yeah.
Like, could they be in the mix and Andre Iguodala decide, hey, I'm in good enough shape. Let me come out and play some minutes off the bench and give them a piece we didn't expect to have on that roster. So there's a lot of things that could change between now and then, but I don't care what you say. That space after All-Star Weekend, that first 6 to 10 games after All-Star Weekend, we're going to find out which one of them are serious and who's not ready for that pressure.
And that's crazy because we have the trade deadline coming up. So if Memphis can make a deal to improve their team before that, you never know. Maybe they'll be our favorites to hold down that 8th spot out west. Congratulations to Ja Morant getting his number retired by Murray State. Rightfully so, man. He had a great career and is having a great start to his NBA career.
Him and Daryl Marshall own 2 jerseys retired, right?
Who's that? Who's that?
I think it's just him and D. Marshall.
Who is D. Marshall?
What's wrong with y'all, man?
Oh, he played baseball.